Hi everyone, and welcome back to 2 Minutes to Compliance. So it's been a little while, but I wanted to jump back on the horse and provide another little bit of insight into European food law. And today we're going to cover something that's pretty topical at the moment, which is proprietary blends. Now, these are normally issues that we see in the food information panel. So what you might get in there in a food supplement is, let's call this an immunity blend. And what we'll see is in the information panel, the term immunity blend, and underneath of it, a list of different ingredients. But all we get is the actual weight of the total blend itself and not the amount of each one of the ingredients within that blend. Now, the idea of these proprietary blends is to help businesses retain some sort of intellectual proprietary property, such as a trade secret, like you would find in a recipe. Now, the alternative to that argument from a trade secret is that companies are using those blends to mislead or hide important information from the consumer. Now, it may be the case that it is a very unique, credible blend based on some special efficacy of the dose of those individual ingredients rather than the total dose altogether. But whilst in some markets, so when we work with a US company, it does cause some concerns when we tell them that such blends are not permissible in the UK because they are available in the US under the Dietary Health Education Act in 1994. So why such a difference? And let's look at the specific legislation that covers proprietary blends or the restrictions of not using such blends in the EU. So let's get ready to start that timer. So, proprietary blends. And what we're going to cover here is 3 specific types of legislation that govern the use or the not ability to use proprietary blends in European products, specifically in food supplements. So what we have is the Food Supplement Directive. And within that directive in Article 8.1, you need to provide the amount of ingredients that deliver a nutritional or physiological effect. So by having something like a proprietary blend, those ingredients within that blend have been provided there to provide a nutritional or a physiological effect. Yet it cannot be argued that you've not declared the amount of each one of the dosages for each one of those ingredients within that blend. We then have the Unfair Commercial Practices Directive, or in the UK, the Consumer Protection from Unfair Trading Regulations. And in Article 7 of that piece of legislation, we have things about restriction of misleading omissions. So you need to provide information to ensure that the consumer can make an informed decision that doesn't lead them to carry out a transactional decision they wouldn't have previously. So obviously, by not providing that information, you could argue that it's they're omitting key information for a consumer to be able to make an informed choice when they purchase those type of products. Now, obviously, that legislation is just a gap filler for things that are not contained within sector-specific or nutrition or food product legislation. Finally, we've got the Food Information to Consumers Regulation. Now, in the EU, that's our main labeling regulation. And again, you can't mislead to the nature, composition, and quantity of those products. So that, in effect, is so that, in effect, as the timer goes, wraps up the main piece of those legislations about what covers the restriction on proprietary blends over here in Europe and in the UK. My own view is that such blends are misleading They're a misleading omission for the consumer because it would be impossible for them to make an informed choice when you look at a blend containing 5 ingredients. So let's say that blend contains ginkgo biloba. It doesn't tell you how much of that specific ingredient is in there. And you have a similar product with the same ingredient and it tells you it's got 100 milligrams. Now, you may only have in that proprietary blend 1 milligram, 5 milligrams. So being able to compare products is very difficult. And again, this whole argument of a trade secret is a bit of a ruse in my view, because it'd be very easy to, especially in the case of botanicals, take those type of products to a lab, get them assessed to find out exactly what would be in there if a company really wanted to copy a formulation. Now, there is some gap still in European law that allows some proprietary protection, and that could be in botanical, for example. So say we have the herb valerian, there's no requirement, unless there's some type of claim on pack related to it, the amount of valeric acid that's contained within that. So again, there's some opportunities there, and potentially there are opportunities in using certain botanicals as spices. So a very interesting area. And I think some interesting publications are currently coming out, which may sort of alter policy with proprietary blends in other markets. So I hope you found this insight useful. And that brings to an end this issue of 2 minutes to compliance. Please spend a little bit of time, if you've got it, look out at our latest courses from the Legal Foods Academy. And we have a great labeling course on there. There's a number of new modules that'll be coming online over the following weeks. Thanks for your interest, and I look forward to seeing you at the next session on 2 minutes to compliance.